Today we discuss section 4.3 again in theorem 4.7. Uh, the ring of integers O in a number field K, number field is nothing but Q of theta for some algebraic integers, algebraic number. The definition of number field is a finite extension of Q. So every finite extension of Q can be written as Q of theta for some algebraic number. Algebraic number is a complex number which has a monic minimum polynomial as rational polynomial. Right? Then, if you consider all algebraic ring of integers of that number field, so algebraic integer means ring of integers means uh, elements of this K which has a minimum polynomial as integral polynomials. Okay, so we will prove that this for any number field K, we have this ring of integers is again a Noetherian ring. Okay, so so we start with this O. We'll prove that every ideal of O is finitely generated. Okay, this is what we call O. It's a common symbol used for representing ring of integers. This is Gothic O actually. We'll prove that this O is Noetherian. For that, we will consider an arbitrary ideal I. We know that by theorem 2.16, you have this O under addition, additive subgroup of this ring is always a free abelian group of rank n. Okay, that means it has a basis of order n. Okay? That is, if we consider an ideal I of O, we can say that this is also a free abelian group of rank S, which is less than or equal to n, since this is a subgroup. Okay? Ideal is always an additive subgroup. Therefore, we can construct an Z basis for I consisting of x1, x2, etc. xs with this s is less than or equal to n. So, this is a finite collection of elements x1, x2, etc. xs belongs to I, such that this ideal generated by x1, x2, xs is nothing but capital I. This shows that I is finitely generated. Therefore, every ideal is finitely generated. Hence, this O is Noetherian. So, this is the proof of this theorem. So, in order to discuss this theorem, you need to go through two important results. One is 1.16. In this theorem, we will discuss the existence of the Z basis, and theorem 2.16 says that every ring of integers is a free abelian group of rank n. So, once you have proved this theorem, we can use the previous result. We have already proved that if a domain D is Noetherian, then factorization into irreducible is possible. Okay, so whenever you prove this ring of integers of O is Noetherian, we can say that the factorization into irreducible is possible in O. Okay, so we have this corollary: factorization into irreducible is possible in O. That's a trivial. That is the consequence of 4.6 and 4.7. Now we can prove 4.9. We have a number of results regarding two arbitrary elements of ring of integers of a number field K. If x is a unit, if and only if n of x equal to plus or minus 1. N of x denotes the norm of x. Okay, norm is defined as norm of an element in a number field is defined as norm of x equal to sigma 1 of x, sigma 2 of x, etc. sigma n of x, where the sigma i's are the monomorphisms from K to C. We know that this K is a intermediate field between Q and C. This is a number field, so it's a finite extension, so this is always contained in the C. So we can say that there are homomorphisms from one homomorphisms from ring homomorphisms from this K to C. Then we can define such monomorphisms as sigma 1, sigma 2, etc., sigma n. So using each sigma I, you can define norm of x. Norm of x is norm of sigma 1 of x, sigma 2 of x, etc. For example, if you consider q of root 2, root 3, this is a extension, finite extension of q, then you can construct sigma 1 of sigma 1 from q of root 2, root 3 to c. In fact, this is an isomorphism from q of root 2, root 3 to itself. So there are 4 such members, monomorphisms, and this constitute g of q root 2, root 3 by q. So these are in fact the elements of this Galois group. Okay, so using these elements, monomorphisms, sigma 1, sigma 2, sigma 3, sigma 4, you can define this norm of x equal to sigma 1 of x, sigma 2 of x, etc., sigma n of x. This is the product. Similarly, you can define the trace as the sum of these elements. So if you consider q of root 2, then you have only 2. Q of that sends root 2 to root 2 first, then sigma 2 of root 2 will be minus root 2. Okay, so this is the this defines 2 monomorphisms. Then you can consider q of root 2 as set of all a plus b root 2. Then what is the norm of this? N of a plus b root 2 is nothing but sigma 1 of a plus b root 2 into sigma 2 of a plus b root 2. Okay, so this is sigma of 1 of a plus b root 2 is a plus b root 2 itself, because the sigma 1 fixes q into, and this will be a minus b root 2. Consequently, we have a minus 2 b square, right? A square minus 2 b square. This is the norm. Okay, so this is one example for this norm of x. You can consider any element in the number field, then you can define norm in this way. So if you consider an element x from this ring of integers, we can say that norm is always norm of theta, where theta is algebraic integer. Then we have n of theta belongs to z. That is always a rational integer. By rational integer we mean element of z. Okay, so if x is x is an element of ring of integers, you can say that if it is a unit, then xy is equal to 1 for some y. So by applying norm on this, norm of xy equal to 1, norm of 1 is always 1. Then we have norm of x into norm of y equal to 1. But these are elements of z, integers. So product is 1 means n of x is always plus or minus 1. So we have x is a unit, then n of x is plus or minus 1. On the other hand, if n of x equal to plus or minus 1, the meaning of this is sigma 1 of x, etc., sigma n of x equal to plus or minus 1. Now, one of these sigma 1 of x, sigma 2 of x, etc., is x itself, because these are nothing but the conjugates of x. So if you consider this product, one of them is always x. So say sigma 1 of x equal to x. Then you have sigma 2 x into etc., sigma n of x, that is equal to plus or minus 1. That is nothing but this expression. Then if this is x, you can say that x into this is equal to plus or minus 1. Then you can easily get the inverse for x. So x is always a unit in this case. Now we can prove the second result. The second result is very obvious. Second result says that if x and y are associates, that means x equal to uy for some unit, then we can get n of x equal to n of u, that is plus or minus 1, since it is a unit. This is n of y. So n of x can be written as plus or minus n of y. That is trivial. Now we have, next we can prove the third result. Third result says that if n of x is a rational prime means element of z which is a prime, then x is irreducible. Okay. In order to prove x is an irreducible, we will consider x equal to yz. So we will prove that this is not a proper factorization. Then we can say that this x is an irreducible. So if you consider this x, then we have n of x equal to n of y into n of z. But our assumption is n of x is a rational prime. So let it be plus or minus p. So this is equal to n of y into n of z. Again, these are elements of z. Then this is p means one of them is plus or minus p, since p is a prime number. So if n of y is equal to plus or minus p, or we have n of z is plus or minus p. If n of y is plus or minus p means n of z is equal to plus or minus 1. Here we can write, if you can get n of y is equal to plus or minus 1. So this implies either z is a unit by first part, or y is a unit. Clear? Then x equal to yz is a factorization, then one of them is always a unit. That means x has no proper factorization. Therefore, x is an irreducible. So this completes proposition 4.9.